Welcome to the Stream Home Construction Podcast, where we take your project from conception to completion. Hosted by licensed general contractor Alex Cosley, we cover everything from accessory dwelling units to commercial construction in the greater Colorado Springs area. Whether you're dreaming of a new ADU, planning an office upgrade, or tackling a major renovation project, we've got the expertise to guide you through it. Let's get building.
Alex Cosley shares how enthusiastic clients can unintentionally disrupt a build and how smart communication keeps everyone on the same page. Welcome back, everyone. Skip Monty here, co-host / producer, back in the studio with licensed general contractor Alex Cosley. Alex, how's it going?
Skip, I'm doing great. How you doing yourself today?
I'm doing just fine. It's just Tuesday, but that's all right. I'm a fan of Tuesdays. So Taco Tuesday. So big question on my mind, Alex, is, my wife tends to get involved in contractors around the house, building a deck, working inside the house, doing whatever, and it gets under their feet. And so I wanted to ask you, do you ever have clients who you think they're too involved in the process?
Well, the daily hard hat client. Yes, we've had a few, and I'll be honest, they've taught us a lot. Most importantly, just because you can show up to the job site every day doesn't mean that you should. Now, don't get me wrong. We do love involved clients. In fact, our entire process is designed around thoughtful client engagement. But there's a huge difference between strategic involvement and micromanaging your general contractor. The reality is when clients are overly present, such as showing up unannounced, asking subs for changes, directly trying to quote unquote manage things on site, it doesn't help. It actually hurts. In fact, projects almost always run better when clients give the team space to do their job. It might feel counterintuitive, but it is true. Our most efficient, stress-free on-time builds have come from clients who trusted the process and didn't try to fly the plane from the aisle seat. Because that's what it's like. Imagine you're on a commercial flight and decide to pop into the cockpit to give the pilot a few tips. You wouldn't do that, right? You'd sit back, maybe order a drink, and let the professionals fly the plane. Construction's no different. When everyone stays in their lane, the result is smooth, safe, and on time. We work with clients who are on site almost every day of their build. Let's just say we're creating new policies to make sure that doesn't happen again. When it happens, it's common for clients to start giving instructions to our subcontractors directly. It's one thing that we see without bringing us in the loop. Suddenly, we have changes being made that haven't been approved, weren't aligned with the plans, and create extra work. This has often led to delays in the timeline and confusion among the team, kind of like hiring a chef and jumping behind the stove to season the soup for yourself. If you're going to do that, why hire a chef in the first place?
True.
But to be clear, we do want our clients to be involved, but on purpose and by design. And, we've structured our process to include milestone job walks where clients get to see key phases of projects as they unfold. One most important is a box walk. Where clients physically walk through the space and see every switch, outlet, and fixture location in 3D, because it's not always easy to see, even on 3D rendering, or especially on a 2D plan. Most people's brains don't convert that into physical reality. So being able to walk through the job site and see that and have that active involvement is a very important part of our process. And it's incredibly helpful, and it's how we help our clients' visions, really come to life. But we also need input from clients on things like material selections and finishes. Those are decisions that will shape the final product. Again, we want the engagement to be intentional, though, and not reactive. Something many clients don't realize is that construction involves constant problem solving behind the scenes. There's always little issues or site-specific quirks and real-time decisions being made, most of which never reach our clients' attention, and that's on purpose. Our job as the general contractors to shield our clients from that chaos. We are hired to manage moving parts so our clients don't have to. If clients see every hiccup, it's easy to start feeling anxious or overwhelmed, which can lead to unnecessary changes, which can cause delays and more costs. So again, best tip, trust the process. That's what you're paying us for. To make clients feel connected without being on site, we have some other ways to communicate and keep clients plugged in, one of which is using a BuilderTrend software. Our superintendents on site create daily logs for every person that was on the site stating what was done. We provide plenty of photos. It's basically like a project dashboard for the client. They can go and see the schedule, daily logs, photos, updates. In addition to that, we host bi-weekly video conference or in-person owner contractor meetings where we walk through the last 2 weeks of progress and then plan for the next 2 weeks. So we give our clients plenty of time and space to ask questions and get answers and stay, plugged in with what the plan is without having to, put on their hard hat, let's say. We, using this system with BuilderTrend and updates online that clients can access, we've completed multiple projects for out-of-state clients with these systems. It works beautifully. The projects move faster and smoother when there's mutual trust. So after working with clients who have been overly involved and seeing the unintended consequences of that, we've now started developing clear policies around job site access and communication. The intent is not to be rigid or exclusive, but to protect the integrity of your project. Boundaries make the process better for everyone, including our client, ourselves, and all of our subcontractors as well. So if you're a future client, you're listening, wondering how involved you should be, the answer is absolutely you should be involved, but within a plan. So bring your ideas, be part of the vision, show up for key walkthroughs and big decision. But once you set the course, trust the pilot and let us fly the plane. Your project's going to turn out better, faster, and with fewer bumps along the way.
Very cool. Now I'm impressed with the project dashboard. What did you call that? A client portal?
Yeah, client dashboard. Yeah, personal project dashboard. Yep. And we got, photos from the job site from that day, from pretty much every trade. We see photos of electrical. If the electrician was there, we'll see plumbing photos. The plumber's there. Anything our superintendent or our team has performed, we'll have photos and documentation of. They can access the schedule. And they can really see the whole kind of project plan unfolding from this portal. It's a great way for them to, be involved and see what's going on without having to, make a phone call to interrupt kind of the workflow and that kind of thing. Of course, we're always happy to take phone calls, but, we create these systems to try to streamline the process so, things can run as smoothly without, deviations and interruptions.
Wow, that's pretty unique, actually. I just had a neighbor build a house recently, and they definitely did not have that. I can see where that could come in handy. Also, wanted to ask, talking about having control freaks, on site, I could imagine that causes some liability safety issues, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it sure can. And that's part of the discussion internally that we're having is, we definitely want to, we want everyone to be safe. It's definitely a top priority for our company, our clients as well. And, there's definitely some hazards and some risks that you take when you step onto a job site. So that's part of the discussion is, how do we control that? Because if, if there's unsafe conditions at any time and our clients feel they can just kind of come and go freely, it does create some risk. And that's part of why we want to, set up some boundaries and likely have a client would, ideally be escorted onto the site by one of our staff members.
Gotcha. Well, and I know, there's probably a lot of different ways that clients can get in the way, but are there some common disruptions that are like happen all the time?
I think it's just jumping in when something's in progress, not yet completed, and thinking, "Oh, that doesn't look right." Well, that's because it's not finished yet, and then trying to point out things. And it's oftentimes it's just like it's frustrating the subcontractors, frustrating our team. We know what we need to do. We don't need help from someone who doesn't really know what to do, and so yeah, a lot of times it's just seeing things that aren't complete and being concerned and trying to push it forward when we do have a plan and we know that it's incomplete. A lot of times we want to be transparent with our clients about the issues on the job site, but a lot of times they're solved before we even need to bring them to their attention. And to us, if we do need to bring an issue to a client's attention for a decision or something like that, we want to have solutions in place. We want to have thought through it internally and not just show up and say, here's a problem from that regard. So, again, giving some distance, keeping some distance there allows us to, bring issues when they arise to a client without it being a surprise and seeming like we are not prepared for the situation.
Now, I'm sure I know the answer to this question, but do you ever have clients who the whatever piece of the project you're focusing on at the moment is done exactly to the specifications that was agreed upon, and they say, "Nah, I don't think I like that." Can you?
Yeah, we definitely have that. And, we're working as a company to more and more better communicate. I'm calling it the space shuttle philosophy that, we So I heard this on a podcast with a general contractor who was talking to a woman at a bar and hotel who worked for NASA or was a private contractor related to NASA. And she'd been working on a space shuttle project for 10 years, the same project. And, what kind of came out of the conversation, what this general contractor gleaned from it was, construction companies should run more like space shuttle companies. They're not thinking, oh, we'll figure some of this out when we get up there and decide what we want. It's like, no, the whole plan needs to be done before you launch a spaceship or people will die. Right. You can't change the programming mid-flight and decide what supplies you want. So, we're really trying to move to that and really communicate that to the clients. Like there's risk, and people probably aren't going to die, if we don't decide what kind of countertops or all the decisions aren't made ahead of time. But the same theory holds true. Like we want to know exactly what's going to be done as far in advance as possible so that we can have a really solid plan in place and then react as those things, any changes or deviations come along. But if we don't know the plan, we don't know what happens here. We can't plan out the rest of it from here. So really just having a clear plan in place from the beginning and not deviating from it is essential. And we're doing everything we can to communicate to clients better up front what the implications are, because it almost always, a change made mid-project is going to cost money and cost time inevitably.
Absolutely. Well, Alex, love it. That was some very helpful information, especially for us control freaks out here who feel like we have to control everything. I think the end result is a better built, quality built house with less stress. So appreciate that.
That's right. Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you, Skip. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, sometimes I have to tell the clients, look at these pictures, not this wall, but look at the pictures of these projects on the wall. They're beautiful. They're done. Yours is going to look like that by the time we're done here. Don't worry.
There you go. End result's what matters. Well, Alex, thanks again, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Hope you have a great rest of the week.
Hey, you too. Thanks a lot, Skip. We'll see you later. Take care.
All right, man. We'll see you.
That's a wrap for this episode of the Stream Home Construction Podcast. Ready to bring your vision to life? Snag a free on-site consultation by visiting our website at www.yourstreamhome.com or call or text us at 719-644-6777. Until next time, let's keep building your residential and commercial dream in the greater Colorado Springs area.